From Royal Communications Incorporated, good afternoon and welcome to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Today is Monday, December 8th, 2025, and I'm Sherman Dia presenting. In the headlines, Congress for Democratic Change condemns ruling United Party use of executive mansion as official communication channel to broadcast homecoming event, terms it desecration of the presidency. President Joseph Boagai urges Liberians to be patient and give him more time for national development, says he is pursuing job creation and foreign investment. And also in the news this afternoon, Liberia Council of Churches calls on government to avoid granting permit for protest to any group during the festive season. LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toll describes its disruption of normal businesses. Away from home, Benin's president has appeared on television to reassure citizens of the West African nation that the situation was now totally under control following an attempted coup earlier in the day. About 100 children who were adopted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria last month have been freed, authorities say. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news at our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture with John Stephen Conton with the news bulletin.
The Congress for Democratic Change has released a statement alleging state terror, police provocation, and partisan abuse of power by the ruling Unity Party-led government. The lead opposition party claimed that the Liberia National Police, led by Inspector General Gregory Coleman, has become a tool for the ruling party, selectively enforcing law and intimidating opposition. According to the statement on the signature of the party acting national chairman, Janka Cole, the police barricaded the CDC's new party headquarters, construction site, and previously invaded and looted their former headquarters. The former ruling party also accused the Unity Party of hypocrisy, violating the code of conduct and using the state institutions for partisan gain. At the same time, the CDC condemned what it called the executive mansion's use of official communication channels to broadcast the Unity Party's homecoming event, calling it a desecration of the presidency. The party warns that the government's actions are threatening democracy and will be met with resistance. CDC emphasized its commitment to peace and democracy, but said that it will defend its rights and freedom if necessary. The statement concluded with a call to action urging Liberians to stand against the creeping dictatorship and defend their democracy. President Joseph Boakai has pleaded with Liberians to give him more time that will enable him draft the country's national development. The 81-year-old president, who reaffirmed his government's commitment during the ruling Unity Party's fundraising rally over the weekend, said he is determined to drive economic renewal. According to President Boakai, pursuing job creation, encouraging foreign investment, and confidence in governance remain the priority of his administration. President Boakai also claimed market prices are gradually stabilizing, adding that roads are open across the country, which have resulted to Liberians no longer crossing through another country to reach the southeast as dignity has been restored. He admonished members of his party to sustain the fight with discipline loyalty, unity, and sacrifice if they are to achieve lasting progress and transformation in the lives of the people. In a related development, ruling Unity Party announced USD 1.3 million raised during fundraising rally has come under intense criticism from several Liberians. Over the weekend, the Unity Party authorities announced USD 1.3 million as a total amount raised during its December 6 fundraising rally. According to the ruling party, the funds are intended to support the party national headquarters construction in Congo Town and locate offices across all counties. Prior to the rally, CDC Secretary General Jefferson Koji accused the government of diverting over USD 1.3 million to facilitate party activities. The CDC General Secretary has since named LACC, LPRC, and LWSC as government institutions used to clandestinely divert thousands of dollars in support of the Unity Party event. Although the government has since denied Kojit's accession, public concerns for deeper investigation have sparked following the Unity Party announcement of USD 1.3 million as total amount raised from its rally, an amount in the same range alleged by the CDC Secretary General. Koji, who posted a USD 180,000 check believed be issued by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission in support of the ruling party even claimed several other evidence against the government. Liberians criticizing the Unity Party said the announced 1.3 million is an approval of Koji's previous allegation against the government of diverting over USD 1.3 million to support the party's event. The Liberia Council of Churches has called on the Liberian government not to give permission to any civil society organization or pressure group to protest in any part of the country during this festive season. LACC's Secretary General Reverend Dieter Christopher Toll disclosed that most of the urban areas are overcrowded with people going about their normal businesses for the festive season and there is no need for disruption. Addressing a press conference held in Monrovia during the weekend, Reverend Todd called on the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day to postpone its planned protest scheduled for December 17 at the row between the Executive Mansion and the Capitol building in Monrovia. The Liberia Council of Churches Secretary General added that December is characterized by many activities, including a sudden crusade and people in search for mourning for the festive season. Renowned human rights lawyer and political leader of the Liberian People's Party, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, has described the country's governance system as the alist mentality. Councillor Gonglo's critique of Liberia's governing culture argue that a persistent national mindset, which he describes as the alist mentality, has weakened leadership from the era of former President Joseph Jenkins rebels in 1847 to the current administration of President Joseph Boakai. According to him, this mentality has functioned as a silent but devastating barrier to national progress for more than 177 years, lowering expectations, excusing poor performance, and normalizing corruption and efficiency across successive administration. He said the leadership environment created by this mentality has contributed to Liberia's chronic infrastructure failure, weak public services, and persistent underdevelopment despite the country's abundant natural resources. Councillor Gonglo calls for a complete psychological and cultural reset in Liberia's expectation of political leadership. He further insisted that the country must prioritize discipline, accountability, efficiency, and excellence if it hopes to break from the historical cycle of stagnation. He further pointed out that Liberia's current governance challenged from weak institutions and collapsing infrastructure to poor insecurity, mass unemployment, and youth frustration placed the nation at a critical moment. Margibi County Senator Nathaniel McGill has again thrown out a challenge through the ruling Unity Party to allow President Joseph Boakai to resign and enter in a new presidential election against the former President George Weah. He said he will also be willing to step down as Senator of Margibi County as long the Unity Party is willing to resign and gave the National Elections Commission 3 months to conduct a new presidential election in the country. Senator McGill threw out the challenge during a honoring and garden program by the Bond County chapter of the Congress for Democratic Change in Bangor during the weekend. According to Senator McGill, the Unity Party-led government has not made any significant development since taking power, but only claiming what the CDC government has initiated. Instead, with more development, the Embassy of Sweden, accredited to Liberia, has announced the closure of its bilateral relationship with Liberia in August of 2026. In an official statement released over the weekend, the embassy stated that the decision stems from a reduction in the overall budget allocated for the Swedish Development Corporation in Liberia. Noted that similar adjustments have been implemented in several African countries, including Zimbabwe, Tanzania, among others. However, the embassy emphasized that Swedish support to Liberia through global contribution to bilateral and multilateral organizations and through the European Union will remain intact. The embassy further clarified that the decision to end bilateral development support is not connected to any policy or development within Liberia. Former House Speaker Fonati Kofa has described governance under the Unity Party-led administration as the adopt for Hitler style of governance who hope to govern Germany for 2,000 years, and claimed that the Unity Party government is of the true Wayne Party, which governed Liberia on a one-party system for almost 150 through discrimination. Speaking at the fundraising program organized by the Grand Bassa County chapter of the Congress for Democratic Change in Buchanan over the weekend, Representative Kofa alleged that he was told by a ranking member of the ruling Unity Party that they will want to govern Liberia for the next 200 years. According to Representative Kofa, the CDC will never sit idly and allow these people who, according to him, so objective is to retain power endlessly to happen in 2029 presidential and legislative elections. This Solidarity and Trust for a New Day has accused the Unity Party-led administration of allegedly using 3.2 million United States dollars of public funds for the construction of its headquarters in Monrovia. Stan's national chairman, Moba Modu, alleged that coordinated rain was made on the country's treasury in the amount of 200 million United States dollars, will be used in the construction of the 15 offices in the 15 sub-political divisions in Liberia. Addressing a press conference during the weekend, Molu claimed that hundreds of thousands of United States dollars used people in covering at the conversion at the Unity Party headquarters during the weekend. According to him, the money which should have been used in strengthening the health and education sectors were redirected towards the Unity Party's homecoming and fundraising program during the weekend. The political leader of the citizen movement for change has expressed disappointment in the Unity Party led government for prioritizing the construction of party headquarters and offices over the health and the education of vast majority of the ordinary people who brought them to power. Representative Musa Beriti alleged that the Unity Party led government has forgotten about the ordinary people in rural Nima County who voted them into power, but they are mobilizing over 2.5 million United States dollars for the construction of party's headquarters and political offices in the counties. Speaking in an interview shortly after inspection of a bridge project in Nimba County, Representative Berete said he wonders how the ruling Unity Party will use these offices and headquarters in providing jobs, good health, and education for the ordinary people. According to Representative Berete, the Unity Party led government is mobilizing 2.5 million United States dollars for the construction of party headquarters and sub offices when most of the schools and health centers are in deplorable condition. Well, Shaman, that's the shape of the news bulletin. It's back to you for the continuation of the news program.
Stephen Compton with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's News Broom. A reminder you're listening to King's News Broom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa in our one word. Stories we follow in this afternoon. Congress for Democratic Change condemns ruling Unity Party use of Executive Mansion as official communication channel to broadcast homecoming event terms its desecration of the presidency. President Joseph Boakai urges Liberians to be patient and give him more time for national development, says he is pursuing job creation and foreign investment. And also in the news this afternoon, Liberia Council of Churches calls on government to avoid granting permit for protest to any group during a festive season. LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toll describes it disruption of normal businesses. Away from home, Benin's president has appeared on television to reassure citizens of the West African nation that the situation was now totally under control following an attempted coup earlier in the day. About 100 children who were adopted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria last month have been freed, authorities say. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. President Joseph Boakai has pleaded with Liberians to give him more time that will enable him draft the country's national development. The 81-year-old president, who reaffirmed his government commitment during the ruling Unity Party fundraising rally over the weekend, said he is determined to draft economic renewal. According to him, pursuing job creation, encouraging foreign investment, and confidence in the governance remain the priority of his administration.
We assure you the work of the party chairperson officials of the party. But let me say, I want to honor the steering committee, all of those who labored. You will soon see that with the cooperation of our legislature, We want to make sure that electricity will go to every and let me be very frank with you. Everything we do is because we promise you we're going to do it. Give us chance. It won't happen overnight, but your life are
President Joseph Boakai there speaking over the weekend during a fundraising rally of his Unity Party. In related development, the ruling Unity Party announced US 1.3 million raised during its fundraising rally has come under intense criticism from several Liberians. Over the weekend, the Unity Party authorities announced US the 1.3 million as a total amount raised during its December 6 fundraising rally. Prior to the rally, CDC Secretary General Jefferson Koji accused the government of diverting over US 1.3 million to facilitate party activities. The CDC Secretary has since named LACC, LPRC, and LWSC as government institutions used to clandestinely divert thousands of dollars in support of the ruling party event. However, Liberians criticizing the Unity Party said the announced 1.3 million is an approval of the CDC Secretary General's previous allegation against the government of diverting over US 1.3 million to support party event.
The whole groundbreaking ceremony, we told them that it's just clear that the Liberian more money that they do. Because how will you be telling me that I am going home? And then the place that you are going home to raise money, you are already occupying the place. You finish painting, you put it all light, you set it all of your offices there. But yeah, you say you're going to raise money to pay for the place. You're on the 4th. The Secretary General of CDC came on with that statement, followed with the check that he released, that the Unity Party had channeled $1.3 million through 3 different institutions, Water and Sewer, LPRC, and the Anti-Corruption Commission. And the $1.3 million Jefferson Kochi talked about, Unity Party come to do their homecoming program. They told that they raised the same $1.3 million. How can you tell on? How do you justify that? Can you say it was a lie? No, it's not a lie. And what I'm saying now is that they are not chasing other people. Investigation, then secretly account the check leak, account the information leak. But it's up to them. The same way they were leaking all information, we do are here, we are out for the game, we are collecting every bit and pieces that we can gather against them. As I have always said, that we are capitalizing on their error, and they are now suffocated, and will continue to suffocate them while we move towards 2029. There is no way that we can focus Liberia for another Unity Party 6 years.
The Liberia Council of Churches has called on the government not to give a permission to any civil society organization or pressure group to peaceful protest in any part of the country during the festive season. LCC's Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toll disclosed that most of the urban areas are overcrowded with people going about their normal businesses for the festive season. There is no need for disruption. Addressing a press conference in Morovia during the weekend, Reverend Toll called on the solidarity and trust for a new day to postpone its planned protest scheduled for December 17 at the rolled between the Executive Mansion and the Capitol building in Morovia.
The Liberia Council of Churches expresses deep concern regarding the proposed protest against governance practices, which is being organized in December 2025. The Council strongly disapproves of any such protests, particularly the demonstration planned by the pressure group Solidarity Trust for the New Day, set to take place on December 17, 2025. This time of the year, the Council says, there's special significance as it aligns with a season of rich Christian traditions and festivities. Throughout December, communities come alive with activities such as crusades, church gatherings, conventions, and prayer villages. These occasions foster the spirit of togetherness and generosity as citizens, residents, and visitors come together to exchange gifts, visit one another, and participate in communal celebrations in and alleviating the economic pressure many face. The Council urges all parties to consider the potential disruption that the protest could bring during this meaningful time, emphasizing the importance of unity and peace in fostering harmonious community. The council emphasizes that holding a protest during the festive season is inappropriate, as it could disrupt the majority opportunity to engage these value religious, cultural, and social practices. Consequently, the council urges the government of Liberia not to permit any protest by any organization during the festive season, when the huge majority of the people will be involved in trading, shopping, and celebrations. Additionally, the council calls on oppressor groups or disenchanted or aggrieved groups to reconsider the timing of their protests in the interest of the predominantly Christian population, which constitute 84% of the country. The council, in partnership with various churches and Christian organizations, remain dedicated to promoting unity and emphasizes the commitment to nonviolence during this festive season. The council advocates for peace of mind for the Liberian people during these challenging economic times and encourages reflection on how to positively transform lives rather than engage in activities that may instill fear in the communities. The church concludes by encouraging all Liberians to continue in their prayer for the nation well-being and stability in such a time as this.
Liberia Council of Churches Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toole, they're speaking during a press conference held over the weekend. Mangibi County Senator Nathaniel McGill has again threw out a challenge to the ruling Unity Party to allow President Joseph Boakai resign and enter into a new presidential election against former President George Weah. He said he would also be willing to step down as Senator of Mangibi County as long as the Unity Party is willing to allow President Boakai resign and give the National Elections Commission 3 months to conduct a new presidential election. Senator McGill spoke during honoring a Ghanaian ceremony held by the Bon County chapter of the Congress of Democratic Change in Banga during the weekend.
And I want to repeat, I beg you, let the believe that you have performed, that today you are celebrating. Let the president and vice president resign tomorrow. So we can have the election. So we can have the election in 90 days. And what I have said to be Magay, you think was stupid? And you know the president may call me. He said, Magay, you think really stupid? You want for the resign so you can take a job for us? You take a 4 more years so you are a 4 years. I want to say, take your book out there. You know, for the last 5 elections, in 2011, one country voted for CDC. Early 2015, one country voted in 2017, one country voted for CDC, President Weah and Joao Taylor. In 2023, one country voted for the second round for CDC. So, one country is a CDC county. So, we'll all be grateful to you. We want to say to you that we're not abandoning you. We'll change the story of Bon County. You know, one of my friends is a senator. I will not call his name. They feel that I was joking with him. I said, oh, you want to Bon County, you're making big more. You say, oh, the other people are vampire. I said, but it doesn't roll you. You're in our government, you're deputy speaker. You made the best speaker. We made someone with me. When I kind of Bon County, I don't see anything Bon County. Only a private building, a private school, everything private. But the days are coming. Someone talking wrong, but I don't know why. Because they are afraid they can't take my challenge. We will wait for 2029. Because they even say I should resign, I thought, okay, you know what? You want me to resign as Senator of Mangibi County? I agree. But let's do the resignation together. So we can go deliver it to next. I read it in my resignation read. So I want the president to do it. We'll let his vice president do his. Then we'll take it together to next. And then we'll resign with one new election. In 90 days, we'll have election. But it's clear. I want to promise Bon County that President Weah will not abandon you.
Mangibi County Senator and CDC Legislative Caucus Chair, Senator Nathaniel McGill, they're speaking. Every Monday, listening to King's News, Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories following this afternoon. Congress for Democratic Change condemns ruling Unity Party use of Executive Mansion as official communication channel to broadcast homecoming event. Terms a desecration of the presidency. President Joseph Boakai urges Liberians to be patient and gave him more time for national development, says he is pursuing job creation and foreign investment. Liberia Council of Churches calls on government to avoid granting permit for protest to any group during the festive season. LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Todd describes it as disruption of normal businesses. Away from home, Benin's president has appeared on television to reassure citizens of the West African nation that the situation was now totally under control following an attempted coup earlier in the day. About 100 children who were adopted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria last month have been freed, authorities said. We'll take a break to be back with more voices, including our foreign news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. From House Speaker Councillor Fonati Kofa has described governance under the United Party as the Adolf Hitler's style of governance who hoped to govern Germany for 2,000 years. He claimed that the United Party is the progenitor of the true Whig Party, which governed Liberia on a one-party system for almost 150 years through discrimination.
But the one thing you got to give it to the rescue men, they know how to lie, they know how to speak. They're very brave at that. Yes. The rescue chairman said, our party will rule for 200 years. And we are not surprised at that statement. They are the progenitor of the true party, the most oppressive instrument in the history of Liberia that ran on the apartheid state. That is what they're trying to do. But for those of us who study history, the statement was even more troubling. You know, there was a man who was a German leader called Hitler. Maybe some of you will learn about him in school. When Hitler came to power, he said, we will rule for 1,000 years. Call it 1,000 years back. You know the first thing Hitler did? He burned the Capitol building. He arrested the political opponent. He said they burned it. You know the second thing Hitler did? He took the police force into partisan police. He called it the Gestapo. You all see the party? You all see the train? Arrest you. So when we look at what is going on, arresting people for the very same things you're doing, harassing people for the very same things you're doing, going on a call or doing surreptitious things, it is cause for concern. Their number one goal is not to develop Liberia. It's not to send children to school. It's not to make sure the hospitals are functioning well. It's to obtain power and keep it. That's their number one. Their primary development objective is that we must keep it. And you know what they said to me? Well, you know, we don't have the vote in 2029, we're cheap. And I told him, I said, look, let me have other subject where it's not even possible. This country will be governed by the popular vote obtained in 2029. Then they come back, they say, oh, government do nothing. CC government do nothing. The things when they do when they rather go dedicate one police booth, you can carry the whole government. You go dedicate help, you can carry the whole government. Or when you go dedicate a massive school that was built in Lima, on the George Weah, then they go there to put their name on it. When they go for the VIP lounge, presidential lounge, they go there, they put their name on it. They come and dedicate the local building in Monrovia. The first time, after 12 years on UP, the National Oil Company building was on CDC. The National Port Authority building was CDC. The APRC that is stealing money from to build a party headquarters, that was CDC. The hospital in Bapolu, that was CDC. The new redemption hospital that they went and tried to steal, that was CDC. The 14 military hospital, that was CDC. All the small roads in the neighborhoods, that was CDC. So don't come and tell me about some little police book that you dedicate and you say you do something like here.
From House Speaker Councillor Jonathan Fonanti Kofa, the solidarity and trust for a new day has accused the Unity Party-led government of allegedly using $3.2 million of public funds for the construction of its headquarters. State National Chairman Moba Malu alleged that coordinated raid was made on the country's treasury in the amount of $20 million to be used for the construction of offices and headquarters of the ruling Unity Party.
The Unity Party today hosted a scam fundraising rally named and styled UP Homecoming Program. It follows the party's declared nationwide fundraising campaign to build a modernized party headquarters in Monrovia and new offices across the country in Liberia. From rough estimates, the program was held with approximately 2,000 to 3,000 people in attendance. Of that number, allegations abound that hundreds of thousands of US dollars might have been used to pay hungry citizens to turn out. Citizens made hungry by the worsening economic conditions Buaka's corruption process has created for the country. But behind the music, speeches, and decorations at today's program lies a troubling reality. Credible evidence shows that public money was funneled into this political partisan pipeline. What they call fundraising increasingly looks like a coordinated raid on the national treasury. While millions of Liberians battle hunger, disease, and a collapsing healthcare system, this government of President Joseph Boakai is obsessed with extravagance, private jets, multi-million-dollar villas, celebrations funded by resources meant to save lives have been redirected and rerouted to the benefit of the oligarchs and state actors. The contrast is offensive, and the anger in the streets, the counties, and districts is justified. And the allegations keep piling up. We are now hearing that $3.2 million US has already been stolen and will be used to build the Unity Party's Monrovia headquarters. And $20 million US more has been set aside to build county offices. Meanwhile, despite a stand press release that was published calling on President Boakai to withdraw senior government officials from fundraising committees, the same publicly announced officials were defiantly maintained and are now falsely claiming to be operating within the confines of the Code of Conduct.
Stan Chairman Moba Molu there addressed in a press conference. At the same time, political leader of the Citizen Movement for Change, Representative Musa Hassan Beliti, has accused the government of forgetting about ordinary Liberians in rural Nima who voted them into power, but mobilizing over $2.5 million for the construction of parties, headquarters, and sub-political offices in all counties.
This district is one of the districts that voted overwhelmingly for the Unity Party. But I know the people don't know that while they are here celebrating development because they are being down, and that for over 40 years, they cannot cross to go over and reach to one another. The party they voted for, the party they gave power to, is today jumping upside down in Monrovia, trying to raise $2.5 million, using government money to raise $2.5 million for a headquarters. When this very party could not even afford to pay for the play they buy now, raise the government revenue to 1.2 billion, and now they are finding a way to take it out. They don't even care to tell the Liberian people where they got the money from. They don't even, it doesn't even bother them that the people are suffering, that we have drugs killing our children, that the poor people in Nimba County that overwhelmingly voted for them cannot even afford to move upside down. The bridges, the land, the schools are dilapidated. but yet they are going to spend millions of dollars. Nobody knows where the money coming from. They don't care to tell people. They've taken high government officials, put them as head of fundraising committees around the country to raise 2.5 million. The United Party could raise 2.5 million to help with hospitals, with schools. The United Party could do that as a party to help their government. But they are celebrating the purchase of a property that they once occupied and could not afford to pay the rent.
Musa Hassan Belati is the political leader of the Citizen Movement for Change and representative of Nema County District 7. The Liberia National Fire Service is said to be investigating the outbreak of fire at the Sati Brothers Company located at the iron factory along the Japanese Highway. The LNSF director, Washoa Bavo, disclosed that the first step is to ensure that the fire was brought under control. And when investigation demands questioning, persons of interest are being called for questioning.
So yeah, we're there. I was there up to 5 something in the morning, but I look on two now and they're cool, so everything there observing, say observing, people matter to see. No, it's not possible for us to tell you what led to the fire because the fire was huge. But one thing we do know, there was some explosion to the fire, the chemicals who we followed up. The investigator, the thing about the fire, it can't be easily you go to investigate. You got to subside, you got to go and, assess the area, talk to the people that were involved, all the things. So we hope that the investigator can move forward with it. When we start the investigation, we pick somebody with the cause of it, we will establish that.
Wasua Bival is the director of the Liberia National Fire Service. Away from home, Benin's president has appeared on television to reassure citizens of the West African nation that the situation was now totally under control following an attempted coup earlier in the day. The government said it had thwarted the mutiny hours after a group of soldiers declared a takeover on national television. Later in the afternoon, huge explosions were heard in Cotonou, Benin's largest city and seat of government. They were thought to have seen the result of an airstrike. And about 100 children who were adopted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria last month have been freed, authorities say. Niger State Police Chief Adomo Eliman and Bishop Balus Yohanan, who is in charge of the school as the local leader of the Catholic community, told the BBC that they had received confirmation of the students' release. They said the news had been confirmed by the president's national security advisor, saying it was not clear when the children would be reunited with their parents. More than 250 students and 12 staff were kidnapped from St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, the latest in a wave of mass adoption. Well, on that note, that's how we'll come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Congress for Democratic Change condemns ruling Unity Party use of Executive Mansion as executive communication channel to broadcast homecoming event, terms it desecration of the presidency. President Joseph Boakai urges Liberians to be patient and give him more time for national development, says he is pursuing job creation and foreign investment. You also heard in the news Liberia Council of Churches calls on government to avoid granting permit for protest to any group during the festive season. LCC Press Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toll describes it disruption of normal business. Away from home, Benin's president has appeared on television to reassure citizens of the West African nation that the situation was now totally under control following an attempted coup earlier in the day. About 100 children who were adopted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria last month have been freed, authorities say. And thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Stephen Compton brought you the news bulletin. Jennifer Seaman sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shema Dare. I presented. Thanks for listening and watching.